Thank you for joining us for another episode of Congratulations, You're In. Throughout each episode, we will explore the many steps that you, as Montgomery County High School students, may encounter both before and during your college application process. Together, we want to guide you towards those fantastic words, congratulations, you're in. I'm Tony Spearman-Leach, your host, and joining us again today is Ed Reed, CEO of the Academic Management Group and counselor for the Montgomery County Public Schools. On top of that, I want to congratulate you, Ed, because as I understand it, you are the president-elect of the School Counselors, Maryland School Counselors Association. So congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
We do have the expert in our midst, and you're going to help all of these students as both a school-based counselor yourself, as a professional who's been out there in the private sector. These kids have a big question. I want to go to college, but I am really concerned about what college is realistic for me. And I keep hearing people, my teachers, my parents, my counselors keep saying, well, they're your safety schools, they're the schools that are your probable schools, and then they're your reach schools. Frankly, what does that mean?
All right, well, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Because it's, first of all, you got to look at who's talking to you.
Okay.
Because some people are just talking and they're saying what they've heard others say. And so you really want to look at who do you need to block out from sending you certain messages.
Okay.
Now, let's start with this, because there are the traditional model. There's a safety school, there's the probability, there's probable, and then there's the reach.
Okay.
But we got to look at what is it for you. And so the first question is, if we start with a safety school, what makes the school safe for you? And when we look at a safety school, we want to look at the requirements, and we want to make sure that your profile exceeds the requirements to get admitted to the school, but at the same time, is it the right school for you? What I often tell the students that I work with, let's say this is the only school you get accepted to.
Okay.
Can you thrive at that school? Or are you just pulling something out of the hat and say, this sounds like a good one, yeah, I guess I would go?
The seniors I knew from last year made it. 2/3 of my high school made it, so it must be good for me, right?
It depends. Are you going to do the exact same thing as those 2/3 from your school?
I don't know.
And so we have to go back and individualize. This is the time to be all about you.
Okay, it's okay to be interested in what I need and what I want.
Because last time I checked, there's going to come a point in time where you will have to be responsible for you. And if you have to be responsible for you, then you need to make moves that are going to benefit you. It's not about your friends, unless they're going to take care of you the rest of your life. But you might get tired of that. So let's go back. We look at a safety school. A safety school is a school where you exceed the requirements, but it's more to it than just a school that you know you can get into. It has to be a school that you want to go to. It has to be a school that you know that this will be a great fit for you. Same things that we look at when we choose our list. The geographical location, what are the options, what are the pipelines, what do the graduates from this school, what are their next steps? And when we get into the probable school, what we want to look at is that it's competitive, but you're in the game.
Wait, probable doesn't mean probably I'll apply there? I thought that's what that meant.
Probably, great question, but probably means that it's competitive. I don't even like the word probable.
Okay.
What I like to look at, what's safety, what's competitive for me.
So this means I actually have to work for it.
You're going to have to work for anything you get. Anything that's worthwhile in your life is going to require you to work. Anything handed to you, you're probably not going to want.
So wait, so we're talking about grades, test scores, activities, my essays. We're talking about everything when I look at what is a safety versus what is a probable. Is that correct?
Well, see, I want you to look at it this way. I want you to look at it in 4 dimensions. And I don't know if it's safety, if it's probable, if it's reach. The reach means that it's highly competitive, highly selective for you. Once again, we bring it back to you. So when we look at your grades, that's 1/4 of the equation. And when I look at grades, I'm talking about your GPA, the classes that you've taken.
We're going to take a break. You hit it. Grades is important. As you said, there's only one dimension, 1/4. We're going to come back to that. Ed, I've got to thank you for your guidance. You have so much insight to give all of the students. You truly show us why you are a phenomenal resource to the students here in the Montgomery County Public Schools. Right now, we need to take a brief break, and then we will be right back with more information to help you on Congratulations, You're In.
No more pencils, no more books.
No more teachers' dirty looks. School's out for summer.
School's out forever.
School's out with fever.
School's out completely.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%. And it can happen in every place.
School's out for summer.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org because great things happen when we live united.
Hello and welcome back for our latest episode of Congratulations, You're In. Joining us today is Ed Reed, the CEO of Academic Management Group, LLC, and counselor for the Montgomery County Public Schools. He's here to guide us with career pathway insight that can help us make today's professional dreams tomorrow's reality. And let's get back to this point that you were making. You were pointing out that grades are only 1/4 of the dimension that a student needs to be looking at. Tell us more about where you're heading with this.
Right, and so you got the grades, that's 1/4. The other 3/4, we look at your character. What do people say about you? We look at those letter recommendations. Some might say, well, that's just a small part if I have the grades. But what do people say about you, and what evidence do they support you? What evidence is in their letters to support what they say about you? Or is it a bunch of nice little adjectives?
Absolutely.
Is it glossy? Is it a cookie cutter letter? You'll never know, but the admissions counselors will when they read it.
Absolutely.
So then we go back into your leadership. Now, there's a difference between being active and being a leader where you have impact. And you don't have to be the president of an organization. You just have to do something that benefits someone else where there's an impact. And then we look at service. What do you do to help benefit people other than yourself? So there are 4 different dimensions, and often those other 3 are the tiebreaker when you look at applying to a school. Let's say you're a REACH school. A REACH school for you might be different than somebody else because a REACH school is going to be, once again, each year there's a new applicant pool. And so they're looking at a new GPA. Last year's data is based on those who applied and who got accepted, who got rejected, and who's waitlisted.
Well, hold on. I want every student to have heard that. The number changes from year to year. What was competitive this year does not count for next year. Folks, it's not a guaranteed formula. Get over it. It changes from year to year. So keep going with that.
Right, and so when those numbers change, the question you got to be able to look at, we're dealing with probabilities. A REACH school, what is the probability that I'll be able to get into this school? But now, once again, those other variables, all things equal, grades, SATs, the activities that you've participated in. Now, how much weight is on that letter of recommendation? How much weight is on your leadership experience where you thought it was just a little piece, but now that's the tiebreaker? All right.
So wait a minute. You're telling me there are these 4 pieces, but then I got this thing out here, a REACH school. And all I know about REACH schools are what I've heard mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin, principals, and best friends say. REACH schools are Duke, Dartmouth, Harvard, Stanford, and of course the University of Miami, Coral Gables, because everybody wants to go for the beach. But, you know, what are my chances? I mean, what does this mean for me? You're telling me to figure myself out in the 4 dimensions. How do I hone this down to a reality check for me?
So now let's look at the school. Let's pick a school. But like I said in the last episode, is we look at your interests. So we look at your interests, so maybe you want to apply to a program at Carnegie Mellon, which is in engineering. And you, to your surprise, their engineering program is ranked as one of the #1 programs in the country. And so that program is going to be much more competitive than, say, an engineering program at a school that's ranked #1 in the country of the school. So we got to move away from generalities and really look at a plan that's tailored to what you want to accomplish.
I am so glad you brought up that particular example because students don't realize, like a lot of students love to do gaming design. They do not realize that if you apply to Carnegie Mellon in gaming design, they're in the top 5 of the country, whereas opposed if you were to come to another university, it would be more to your advantage because it may not be as competitive, but Carnegie Mellon in that category is going to be a reach. People need to look to their situation for their major, for their interest, and then go for that which suits them.
Tony, absolutely. You got to go in with a game plan. You have to have a game plan. I recommend every student that's listening to this broadcast make an appointment with your counselor. If you don't hear from your counselor in a timely manner, you go walk over to the counselor and say, we need to talk and when can we make it happen?
You know what, folks? I feel like I am talking to my favorite coach here. Ed, you are amazing. I think that students don't know what to do and you're guiding them in the right direction. One of the things I want to ask you, what do you think about using things like Peterson's guides in all these books?
I think Peterson's guide might give you an insight, but remember, it's a print edition. It's old. By the time it hits print and circulation, it's already old. It gives you some historical information. It gives you some data. But what I would tell you to do, go visit the schools. Get online. Use the technology. But more importantly, every high school in Montgomery County has a career college coordinator. They're excellent. Tap into that resource.
That was the best advice I have heard in many of these episodes. I want to thank you so much. You have hit the nail on the head. Thank our outstanding guest. We now know while Ed Reed is the Maryland School Counselors President-elect, he deserves the position. Together, Ed and I hope that we have gotten you a few steps closer to reading and hearing those fantastic words. Congratulations, you're in. Joining us during our upcoming episodes where we will explore, you know I hate it, that dreaded FAFSA and the CSS profile. Submitting your family and your own IRS tax forms or non-filer statements, scholarships, grants, loans, and so very much more. Until next time, keep working towards your dreams. Until you hear those words, congratulations, you're in.
Attitude.